Hey guys, it's Miss Haley again. Welcome to this week's craft. So for this week, we are going to be making our prayer hand journals. So I know a few Sundays ago, the last time we all met, if you were here, we already made some prayer journals with our hands. So if you've already done it, you can go ahead and look back over the steps below in the description. I'll go ahead and make sure that they're there, as well as an explanation on what we want you to do with this prayer journal. So if you can't find it, no big deal. Here's a video on how to remake it. So what you're going to need in order to make this is some construction paper. Any color. Colors are fine. You want to make sure that you can see what you're drawing on it or what you're writing. It makes it more fun and more vibrant. You can also use printer paper if you want. It's just not as sturdy. It might rip a little more easily, but if you're careful, it can stay. So you're going to want 2 sheets of paper, any color, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your 2 hands, you're going to put them on the piece of paper like this, and then you're going to trace your hands out on this piece of paper. So once your hands, 2 hands per paper, are traced, you're going to go ahead and color them in any color you want between the lines of your hands. And you can use stickers, you can use paint. I personally like my markers. You can use some colorful markers, or you can use paint. Paint is also fun. I love painting. I have my paint here somewhere. But whatever you want to do, be creative. You can add glitter, sparkles, you can add stickers, you can put whatever you want on it. So after you have it traced out with your hands on the paper, you're going to go ahead and cut out each hand. So because you're coloring in 2 sheets of paper, you should have a total of 4 hands that look like this. So after you cut the hands out, here are mine. These are my hands. Yay! I painted them. They're colorful. So what you're going to want to do is take your 2 hands, or your 4. I only made 2. But you're going to take your 4 hands and you're going to line them up as best you can. It's okay if they don't line up evenly, but what you really want is this part to line up well so that you can make a hole. So you can either use a stapler or a hole puncher, whichever you want if you don't have a hole puncher, or you can have your parents help you create a hole in it, because I don't have a hole puncher, but I don't know if you can see that. There we go. I made a hole into it. It's kind of messy. But anyways, so you're going to want to put a hole at the base or the palm of your hands all together. And so with that, you're going to want to get some string, and again, in the description, I'll make sure I list all the things that you'll need. But you're going to want to take some string and go ahead and put it through that hole at the bottom of the hands. Whoops. So that's like this. And then you can go ahead and tie all 4 hands with a knot or a bow. Make sure you don't do it too tightly, because you don't want to rip the paper on the hands. I suggest tying a bow because it makes it possible to add more paper in between if you like. So it should end up looking something like this. This screen focus. Something like this, where you have both your hands, and you should be able to flip through and open up your prayer hands. So once you do that, what we would like you to do is write on the inside of them. So this is the very, very important part of your prayer journal. At this point, it's complete. Like I said, you can add more pages if you want, but this is what we would like you to do with it. So we want you and your parents and your siblings as a family to all sit together, and on the uncolored side of each hand, mine are colored on both sides, but there should only be one side colored and the other side should just be blank. We want you to write down. So you guys are going to sit together and go over different prayer requests and prayers and write them down. So think about anything you want to talk to God about, anything you've been praying for, if it's been for a family member or a friend to get better, if it's been for a new pair of shoes, whatever it is that you've been talking to God about. If you want your sister to play with you more or your brother to play with you more, whatever it is. So remember, we've gone through the practice of talking to God, so you can talk to Him about anything you want. So in this prayer journal together, on each page, you're going to write down a prayer request, and also write down different prayers that you can pray. We want you to leave some room also on each hand so that you can write down how God has answered the prayers, or what you've heard during your prayer time, what you think you've heard God speak to you, what you believe He's speaking to you, anything that you're hearing from Him or that you see happening in response to your prayer time. We want you guys to document that and write that down because it's so important to remember. So while you're writing out your prayers, you guys remember, as we've been talking about prayer, we've been talking about detail. You always want to be detailed. So if you're like, God, I really want that pair of shoes because I need new shoes because my old shoes have holes. Instead of saying, God, I really want those pairs of shoes, you could be like, God, I really want those polka dot shoes, those polka dot glitter rainbow shoes, or God, I really want those cool shoes with wheels. I don't know. But be detailed about what it is you're praying for because God loves detail. He cares about even the smallest thing that you're praying about. So be sure to do detail when you're writing it. And also, even though this is the last week that we're talking about prayer, we encourage you guys to do this weekly. Because it's not just once a week or every once in a while that we want to sit down and pray and spend time with God, but we really want this to be a habit. So we encourage you to do this weekly to develop the discipline and habit of seeking an intimate relationship with God. So anyways, I hope your prayer journals are all ready and lovely, and Miss Janae and I are actually looking forward to see them once we all get back together and to hear about how you guys have been writing them down or writing your prayers down and what God has been saying to you and what you've been hearing. So more description is going to be written below, and if you guys have any questions, let me know. All right, bye.